Hello, welcome to Mission Driven Monday, where every week I interview an inspirational woman and we talk about the things that help us reflect on our past, clarify our present, and illuminate our future. Today I'm here with my friend Karen Seward. Karen and I have known each other for almost 10 years, and over the last couple of years, I've really just enjoyed following Karen on Instagram. She has a wonderful thing that she does called Karen's Coffee Corner, where she just writes these inspirational posts, and all day long you can be scrolling through Instagram and you find just this ray of sunshine. And so even when I don't see Karen in person, I see her there on Instagram. She's also worked for many, many years at Coca-Cola here in Atlanta. And today I am so happy to be with you in my little virtual living room. So hello, Karen, and welcome.
Hello, thank you so much for having me today.
Well, good. I'm so glad that you're here. So every week we talk about just 3 questions. And so that first question that I'm going to pose to you is, I want you to tell me about your proudest accomplishment. What are you most proud of?
You know, I am most proud of my book. I'm actually a published author, and the name of my book is From My Heart to Yours. And I didn't think I would actually finish the book, with my busy life, small group, working late at work, after work. And it took me several months, but my girlfriend kept pushing me and pushing me and pushing me to do it. And when it got completed, my goodness, it was I just thank God. I think I just laid on my face before the Lord. I thank him so much because there's no way I would have done it alone. He was with me every step of the way. But that pretty much is my greatest accomplishment, is getting the thoughts from my heart and my mind out to everyone else in hopes that it will enlighten them.
Yeah, well, it's so great. And we were actually talking before I hit record, and you were telling me about kind of how the book came about and about how you used to write these inspirational messages on the whiteboard in your office, and how people would come down and come around and they wanted to see kind of what you had written that day, and that they missed it when you didn't do it. And so now to see that you've kind of compiled all these things, into one place where we can open up the book anytime we want.
Yes.
And see what is in your heart. And so that even when you're not in the office, if I don't, run into you on the street someplace, I can be inspired by what you're sharing. So thank you for doing that.
Yes, thank you. So yes, that's my greatest accomplishment right now. Definitely.
Good. Well, my second question is, what are you working on right now, or what are you learning? And I love this question because I feel like at different seasons of our lives, there's always like something on our hearts or something that we're just really paying attention to that sort of keeps cropping up. And so through this Mission Driven Woman video series, what I'm really trying to do is interview women who are in different seasons maybe that I am in, who've had different life experience that I've had. And I just want to know, what are you learning? What are you working on?
You know what? I'm learning to really, truly surrender everything. And, as challenging as that can be, the way that I do that is I actually, every morning, I meditate for 30 minutes to an hour.
Oh, wow.
After thanking God that's discipline, right? After
yes,
thanking
that's
God, it is, for waking me. And I, I put my address on the balloon and I let it go. And I see, I'm very visual. Mm-hmm. So I see this balloon going straight to my Heavenly Father. I do the same thing with my bank accounts, my 401k, my business, everything. Because once we surrender everything to Him, everything else just starts working out on its own, because, sometimes we tend to hold on tight. And so I found a way to visually do that for me. And it has worked tremendously. Oh my God, just to see it floating away. It just does something to my body. It gives me such freedom to kind of be who I am. So that's what I'm actually learning in this season right now, is to completely surrender.
And you're right, that is hard, because I think all of us are so busy and we always have so much going on and there's things running through our minds all the time. You say you're meditating for 30 minutes to an hour. And I think that some people are going to hear that and go, oh my gosh, I could never do that. What advice do you have for someone who's like, yeah, I would like to do that. I'd love to start my day just meditating. What's your advice for getting started?
Well, this is really funny because I used to time God, and I know he was like, really, Karen, you're putting me on a time clock. So I kind of started out with maybe 15 minutes and I would put the clock on, right? And then, I would do 15 minutes or even 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Sometimes we get overwhelmed with the big picture. And I mean, you eat an elephant one bite at a time, right?
Yeah.
So what you do actually is you just start very minimal. I tell people that about reading. Just read one paragraph per night. And eventually what happens is you will find yourself yearning because you started to get closer. I started to get closer to God in those quiet times. And I'm not asking for anything. I'll read Jesus Lives. I'll open that to an amazing passage. And there's always something in that book that just resonates with you. I'll read that and then I'll just close my eyes and kind of meditate on that passage, not asking, not begging, thanking him for everything. And you know what? Eventually it became 30 minutes to an hour. Of course, I know my Heavenly Father is so glad I don't time him anymore. And sometimes I find myself having to, I got to get up and go to work, right?
Yeah.
But that's, once you become, that is such an intimate time, and just start out with just small increments of time, and eventually it will turn into possibly a full hour.
Yeah. Well, I think that's good advice, and also not to beat yourself up over not being able to do an hour. Like, it is okay, I think, in the very beginning to time yourself if you need to. Like, set the timer for 5 minutes, and the next day for 10 minutes, and then 15 minutes, and sort of work up. And I think that you're right, that you'll find that you begin to long for that time.
Yes.
I think it's interesting too how you talked about releasing everything to God. And I think for a long time, it was hard for me to remain open-handed. I wanted to hold on to everything, or I had like one hand open but one hand shut tight.
Right.
And a few years ago, I found in a little shop in downtown Woodstock, I found these little open hands, just like a cast iron casting of open hands. And I put those on my desk to remind me to stay open-handed, just to have that, like you said, you're very visual, just to have that visual reminder every day, stay open-handed.
Yes, definitely.
It's good. All right. So here's our third question, our last question, but also just a very good one. I'm very driven person. I like to think about the future. I like to think about what's next. And so for you, when you think about your future and the future Karen and kind of who you're striving to be, what you want to be known for, how would you describe that Karen? I think sometimes, and you can do this any way you want. For me, I've done that in terms of like 3 adjectives that I use to describe myself. Mine are curious, genuine, and brave. And so every night I ask myself, today was I curious? Today was I genuine? Today was I brave? What are your 3 adjectives? Or if you want to describe that a different way, go ahead. But tell me about the future Karen.
When people think of me, Chantel, I really want them to think of kindness, love, all the fruits of the spirit. Pretty much that's what I'm aiming for. When people think of God, I want them to think Karen definitely walks with him. And, every day is a challenge. We have to pull in our full armor every single day.
Right.
We're challenged every single second of the day. So we have to stay in the spirit, which is not really easy. But I find myself, as I continue to pay attention to things that I'm thinking or that type of thing, that I'm getting so much better at not letting things control me and not responding in a way I would have maybe 3 or 4 years ago. So, and all this stuff takes time, and it can be challenging, but it's very, very doable if you constantly, consistency is the key. But that's what I want people to think of. It's because of you that I didn't give up. I want people to think that, somebody that just read a post, because you never know that a post can be something positive, can be a way of stopping someone from committing suicide. It was that one post that made them stop and think, let me try again,
Right.
or, let me call this person or whatever. So I want, people to think of me as being very encouraging, very loving, very open, very flexible. So those are the things I want to be when people think of Karen
Oh.
Seward.
Well, I love that, Karen. And I will post links, of course, to your book, your Instagram, and anything else that you would like for me to share with any of our listeners today, because I want people to find out how wonderful you are. I think you're wonderful, but I want the world to know how wonderful you are. So thank you for being with me today.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it was a fun little chat. And so I'm so grateful for
Yes.
you. And I hope that all of you had as much fun as I did. Please tune in next week for another episode of Mission Driven Monday.